want it enough to get uncomfortable? Do you want what you're after bad enough to go the extra mile?
My name is Bobby Jones, also known as Mr. Brightside, and you are listening to the Xtra Mile Podcast. All right, guys, welcome to the Xtra Mile Podcast. This is episode 13. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, also known as Mr. Brightside. And with me today is my good friend, Larry Normile. He is an awesome entrepreneur with a cool story as well. We've actually worked together and spoke at some detention centers together so that we can kind of inspire some of the people that have had similar paths as ours to, go out of their comfort zone, do something a little bit different, and hopefully have some of the successes we're having today. Yeah. So, Larry, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you came from, and what you're doing today.
All right. So my name is Larry Normile. I'll give you a quick gist about myself. I was raised in an interracial relationship. My father was a black man. We were raised around a lot of controversial stuff in the 80s and 90s with racism. I ended up learning a lot from my father and my mother because my mother, she was a head budget officer for the state of Delaware for the Army National Guards for 37 years. So, that side of my numbers and finances come from her. And the business side is my dad. Like, my dad just... Growing up, he was always on me. He was always like, listen, hard work, dedication. We're going to work. He'd give me
Hustle, grind.
Every day, 5 a.m., I'd have to get up and go to work with him. And it sucked, right? But I knew going, all that education I get from it, because he just always was speaking stuff and watching somebody come from a state that nobody knew you to moving here and then nobody knowing him and him building 2 successful businesses. I knew I had to follow that path. And that's what I've been doing since then. When he passed, though, at 16, I went through a lot. I just went through this dark stage in my life, and I couldn't get my life together. Sure. Couldn't figure myself out.
Understandable.
Yeah, so when that happened, though, I ended up dropping out of school at 16, leaving home, ended up in jail at 18, was in there for 3 years, and that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, though, because while I was in there, I had these two cellmates. They were both in for murder. They knew they weren't getting out, and they saw this little kid in there, didn't know what the hell was going on with his life, and Rich was always on me, like, man, listen, you gotta change your life. Let me show you how.
Right.
So he kept telling me set goals, and at that time, I never heard nobody say that stuff. That's not where I came from.
Right.
Goals
We don't talk about that in the hood. No, not at all.
So it wasn't even that kind of level. And when he told me to set some, and I set some, and the craziest part about the 2 goals I set was I was going to open a tattoo studio, and I was going to take care of my mom. And fast forward to today, going through all that, and finally going through that part, I opened up my first tattoo shop about a year or 2 after I got out of jail.
Nice.
And it was nice.
Now, were you tattooing? Sorry to interrupt you. Were you tattooing before you went to jail?
Yeah, I was tattooing.
Okay. Were you tattooing in jail?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit, but not a lot.
That's all good. That's where this one came from.
But in Gander Hill, it was a little harder.
Yeah.
It was a little harder back then than it is now. Because that was all pods,
Right.
So you had to know somebody to know somebody. I didn't know anybody like that.
Yeah.
So, but when I got out, I was still tattooing out of the house, doing junk stuff, needle and thread, homemade tattoo machines. So it's not even like I knew how I was going to get in there, but I knew I was going to do it. So I ended up going around. I started driving for concrete trucks, and I was trying to find a place to get in. And finally, after bothering this company a bunch of times, all the artists at that time, that's when drugs really got heavy. That's when pills started coming out. Everybody was on them.
Yep.
So all the artists just kind of disappeared, right?
100%.
So it was cool because I walked in, they were like, you know what? We need somebody at the time. So it was greed over anything else with them.
Right.
So I got in. I started working there for about a year and opened my first shop. When I first opened my shop, though, I thought I was the shit, thought I was doing good. And then reality kicked in. My shop was broke into. They stole all my stuff.
Dang.
I was working a nighttime job still, too, because I had to compensate because it wasn't like I was making that kind of money.
Right, yeah.
And then my wife ended up cheating on me. I lost my house, claimed bankruptcy, had to move back in with my mom and my son at the time because I had a newborn kid and the mom just left, was gone. So it was just me and him. So I ended up going through that one. Then I ended up going back to work for Pioneer Concrete again, started working for them. And then I was like, you know what? This isn't what I want. I know what I want. So I opened up another studio. That time I was open for 3 years doing great. Yeah. Numbers were actually consistent. I was doing good, but I was spending that money because I didn't know marketing, right? I didn't know anything about how to create incomes or get people to come in, right? Besides going out to the club, spending money and flaunting everything you can flaunt just to get it, right? So that's how I brought the attention, and it was the wrong way because I was broke.
So when it looked good.
Yeah, it looked real good until the owner sold the building, and when he sold the building, he was like, the new guy came in, he owned a medical store, and he was like, we want to remodel the whole spot. And I was like, dude, I'm not getting out. Like, I got a lease. I'm not leaving. So he came in and cut out the wall in my bathroom and called the Board of Health on us. Me and my son were sitting at the counter eating our breakfast, and the Board of Health inspector comes in. He's like, yeah, I got a complaint. And in the tattoo industry, like, you know, it's like medical. So sometimes if you complain, they're going to come.
Right.
So they come. No big deal. I didn't think nothing of it, man. He opened that bathroom door, and it was like somebody punched me in my face. I couldn't say nothing. I looked at him like, the hell? I could see the apartment behind us. And I was like, dude, man, what the fuck? I was like, I didn't do that. I didn't cut this wall out, man. I don't know how it happened. He's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I got to shut you down. I was like, nobody lives in an apartment, man. I promise I'll put a sheet over it and we'll get it fixed in a couple of days. He's like, nah, you got to get shut down. So that's how he got me out, because I didn't even have the money to recoup from that, because I was steady pumping every dollar I had out into that, right? So I shut that one down. And then I went through this like strong depression state where I couldn't like get myself right.
Right.
And I was hiding it though. I was out drinking still, partying with people.
Most people with depression hide it really freaking well.
I was real
look
good
at Robin Williams, man.
Yeah.
And that guy depressed. Most of us couldn't understand that. So it is something that people hide.
Yeah, and you can't. And it's like you think you have somebody to talk to. Luckily I had my best friends was Brad and Pharrell. They're the ones that like kept me going.
Yeah, that's
me
good,
and Brad
man.
would spend hours at night
right
in the middle of the night, like 2:00 in the morning, just riding around his truck, sharing dollar menu because we didn't even have no money. We're sitting there splitting.
Ain't nothing wrong with the dollar menu.
We're splitting here cheeseburger and stuff. You know what I mean? Because we're broke. And
hey, it's good to have people around you like that. Though,
and
man, that's for sure.
their hearts are like gold. So they're always gonna be my best friends.
Yeah.
But they're more of a brother than they are anything.
Yeah.
So I went through all that, and then I ended up getting with this woman, and she's a great woman, but I wasn't in the right mindset. We ended up having a kid together, getting married, but in the back of my head, I wasn't right? I still was dealing with a whole bunch of me.
Right.
So we ended up going through a long, drawn-out divorce. But this was after I opened up this shop that I had, right? So let me backpedal because I got forward on you.
No, you're good.
So once I went back to work. I started working at Gold's Gym, right? Because I needed a job, and now I got this.
That.
Yeah,
Real quick, I want to interrupt you just to say that, like, I am like really impressed with like the amount of self-awareness throughout your story. Like you say things like, I knew what I wanted to do, or I knew that I wasn't good at this, so you know where my mistakes were and stuff like that. That's huge, man. I think that's part of the foundation for entrepreneurship, small business owners, and just business people in general. Hustlers,
and you know,
grinders,
because you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
dude. You know, and anybody that's an entrepreneur can't say that they didn't go in that bank account and just take it when they shouldn't have, and spent it where they shouldn't have, and not focused on the future.
At one point,
it's just what it was.
Yes,
it's what it was at one point.
And we justify it with things like, oh, we deserve it.
Yeah.
We deserve this nice thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we work hard. We deserve this. What you mean? Like, you're taking from you're taking from the thing feeding you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
COVID opened up a lot of eyes to a lot of people.
A lot of people. Oh yeah.
Because you had to.
Some people got smacked in the face, and other people smacked people in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they seized the moment, took advantage of the opportunities that were truly presented to us, and were out there the whole time. But like really exposed themselves when COVID hit.
And I'll tell you all about that because that's what we did.
We're gonna get into all that stuff.
Yeah, we're getting there because we ended up.
So
I ended up going to work at Gold's Gym as just a front desk person.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, RJ.
Yeah.
I took his position. I didn't even know it though.
Oh shit.
But I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah,
you know, he was just like, I need a morning person.
Yeah.
Well, because the owner of that gym at the time, he's not the owner anymore. He's a little bit of an aggressive dude, kind of just, he wasn't a great manager. He should have just sat back and let somebody else manage it. Right. So him and RJ didn't do anything. He was just late a couple times, right? Yeah. So ended up going in RJ's position and working my way up to the operations manager. Started making good money, but it's not what I wanted to do.
Right, yeah. Nah.
So I ended up, right before I had like just started to get my finances back, my credit back where it needed to be, and any kind of money in the bank account, they let me go. Because that's just how he is, though.
Yeah,
he did it to RJ,
that's how life is, right?
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how life is.
Life throws you all kinds of curveballs.
Yeah.
So at that time, I had $500, dude, and then I just paid my rent, and I had one check left coming, right? So I was like, all right, I'll make this work. I got to get this next check, and I'll make it work. So I ended up talking to a local businessman that has a company around here, still successful. He was like, yeah, I'll invest with you. We'll open this shop up together, right? Because I found where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Tony's bike shop was moving, and he was there. I saw the sign. My buddy's like, yo, he's moving. So I went up there, got the address or the phone number for the owner, called him, and they're like, yeah. So I got up with the guy. He was like, yeah, I'll invest with you. He never shows. The day we go to sign a lease, the man never shows up. Never. So I'm sitting there talking to them, and I'm looking at them like, shit, I don't even have the money to negotiate this right now, but I'm still trying, right?
Right.
So for like 45 minutes, we sit there back and forth with awkward conversations. And then finally, I was like, listen, we're going to have to come back to this because there's nothing I can do for you right now. I don't know what's going on. I got to figure out the situation.
Yeah.
So like 3 weeks go by. He doesn't know, never get a response. So finally, I had written this check for $500 and I was like, I'm taking it to him. I'm just going to take it to him. I'm going to see what they say. So I went up there with a good faith check. That's what I called it. I was like, take this $500. It's all I have. But I promise you, if you give it to me, I have to, because it was October.
Right.
January 1st, they were moving their shop. So I have from October to January to get money saved up.
Yeah, figure the rest of it out.
I was like, take it, and then in January 1st, when I give you the key, if I don't have the money to start this build, I'll give you that check for you can have that $500.
Yeah.
So they were like, yes. And they gave me 3 months rent free on top of it. So I had to all wait till March to open, right? So now I'm like, yes. But now I'm going home like, damn, I barely got enough gas to get home.
Right.
So I'm
Dude,
tripping.
that's it though, man. That's the foundation.
My buddy had gave me a laptop. And I was like, you know what? Craigslist was popping at the time. This is when Craigslist started getting heavy where people were selling and buying a lot. Yeah. I got on there, sold the laptop, and then flipped that and got a Honda Civic. And it was an old beat up Honda Civic. I got a set of rims from a buddy for like $100. And he lent me the money because I was like, dude, I can't give it to you. I'll give it to you once we get the car sold. Cleaned up the car, sold it on Craigslist, doubled my money. Awesome. Next thing you know, I'm all the way up flipping everything. I had so much money saved up to build the shop. So we got all the way to the end of the shop, right? I'm building the shop, getting it all the way up. Greg Akers, you know who he is, right? The head guy for the city of Dover.
Yeah.
He's the head inspector. So he comes in the day before I'm supposed to open, right? He looks at the one wall that we did nothing but paint. Nothing. Out of the whole shop, you could pick me out something, right? He picked the only wall we did not do nothing but paint. And he goes, is that a door there? I was like, yeah, it looks like there used to be a door there because you could kind of see the imprint, right? I was like, I think so. I was like, I don't know, though. I didn't do nothing but paint that wall. He goes over with a screwdriver and pokes a hole through, and you could see the shop next door. He goes, there, I gotta fail you, man, you gotta have a 4-hour firewall between a service and a retail. And I was like, come on, man. I don't have any money now. I done sold my car. I rode a 10-speed bike to get here. Like, I don't have $1, brother.
Damn.
So I'm freaking out. And then finally I was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. He isn't going to hear it because at that time, that's when the building down the road where across from L&D Suzuki next door, remember that got condemned? That whole building?
Because asbestos.
It was in that whole
was
time
it asbestos
period.
Or some shit? Yeah.
So it was at that time period when Dover was at like the highest peak of no permits are getting approved unless it's 100%.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just the worst time in the world.
I remember that.
It was a recession because we were in 2009 into recession.
Yeah.
So it was like just a lot going on. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to call. So I called the owner. I was like, listen, I don't want to bother you. I don't even know what to do, man, but I can't. It failed. And I don't even have the money, man. So I don't know if I failed you or I failed myself as much, because I feel like I failed both of us. And he goes, before I could even get it all out, he's like, just get it taken care of. Now, in your world, because you do construction, a permit takes a while. And I had to get an architect. So it was like a month of period of time. At this time now, I'm eating tuna oodles and noodles. Like my son to this day loves oodles and noodles because that's all we ate.
Yep.
I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
So we are just eating that and Brad would help me and Pharrell would help me with some stuff. And we finally got open. And the day we opened, from that day, like after all that happened, my first year open, I made the most money I ever made in my whole life to that point. Right?
It's eye-opening, ain't it?
Yeah. It's like, I heard something today, and Steve Harvey said it, and it really stuck to me. He said, "There's always a lesson, then the blessing, right? Yeah. You go through something, and then the blessing is at the end, right? And that's what happened. I did that. So, and over this,
what I get, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but what I get from this, like so far, like there's a saying that says, it takes, sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
Like, they seen you open up this shop and then become successful. They didn't see all the shit that was behind it that you just talked about and just told our viewers, right? So, like, that's the part that people have to embrace. They have to embrace the hardship because the good shit don't come until way after.
And then when you get around, like, so when you have people working for you, certain egos start to come into play. And then you have people that think it's because of them you're where you're at. Mm-hmm. I dealt with that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I dealt with one guy.
What did Hov say? Oh, you made Hov? Okay, so make another Hov.
Yeah. Because that's what, like, this one dude, he worked for me. He was like my brother, man. He used to say it all the time. Man, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here. I was like, damn, man. And, like, for a long time, it was in my head. That moment,
bro,
you know what I mean? Like, I got to it.
And that breeds insecurities that can Really destroy somebody.
You know, when
guys do that. Guys do that to girls a lot in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Same shit. If it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for me, if it what motherfucker, like.
And that's why this world's and that's why relationships are the way they are nowadays. But
we'll save that conversation.
Yeah, that's I can get deep into that conversation.
Me too, bro. Me too.
But and what changed my mindset from believing I needed that person was the day that when I was in the middle of my divorce, I'm going through this long drawn out child support custody battle and all of my artists kind of like jumped on the whole side of like trying to just degrade me while I'm in the worst time of my life. When I'm going through the deepest depression and all I did was help you the whole time.
Right.
Like I helped a lot of them through a lot of things, right? It never asked for $1 or anything from you but a friendship, right? And at the time when I'm going through the deepest, you just leave me in the dark. So they left. And it was just me and one other artist. And I realized I can hold this down on my own without anybody because I put it on my back and I can just go with it. Because at the end of the day, I make enough money myself to support my house life and my shop life if I have to.
Right.
I don't want to because that's stressful. And you know that.
And that's it too. No, but again, like we said earlier, like knowing that shit, being aware of it.
Knowing that I know that now to this day, that's what keeps me successful in that part. So, and now I'll get to the fast forward of now where I'm at is through all of that trials and tribulations, I've made a lot of money now over that time, right? Now I'm on a biggest growth of my life because I took advantage of the COVID, like you said, right? I was out, like, because I own a couple businesses, but they're all not doing nothing because we were all non-essentials, right? So
100%.
I was sitting back and Wynn calls me and he goes, "Hey, Larry, you still need somebody to do a video for you." And at the time, no BS, Gracie and I were making Larry and the Gracie Show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We were making our first podcast. It was just me and her trying to set up some bogus shit. We had iPads and like just shit everywhere, right? He's like, "Dude, I can come make one for you." I was like, "All right, good. I need that," right? And it couldn't have came at a better time. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll come now for you." And he's like, "I'll come tomorrow. We'll do one tomorrow," right? And when he set it up, started doing it, it was just like from that point, it went from like just a kind of regular thing to a fast forward progress to where we ended up getting recognized by people. We're in Calabasas in California and like mansions and freaking celebrities all around us and stuff, and we're getting offers of like, "Oh, here, take this money and you can you use it whatever you want to do." Like just so many different opportunities, right? And I haven't taken any because I really, in my aspect of it, I don't take the money that I don't believe I earned, right?
Right. Yeah.
Unless I know 100% that I can't do something with that, I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
So I didn't do anything with it. So now we fast forward. I went in. I talked to Les Brown. I told him my story. Right. He asked me for a 3-minute and a 15-minute video of my story. I gave it to him, and I started doing this program with him. And he ended up putting me into this whole speaking world where he was like, "You know what? Your story needs to be told." And out of all, like, there's like 600 people in this one program. Out of all the 600, he picked 20, and I was one of them.
That's dope.
So with that, I ended up. You ever heard of Procter and Gallagher? Bob Proctor. He's big in this industry too, in the talking speaking world.
Yeah, I think I have heard of him.
He's based his off of Mindsets too, because that's what I base mine off of.
Yeah.
So John Tallarico is a guy in Dali, China. I hope I said her name right because that's my girl. If I didn't, I feel bad. But that's my girl, man. Yeah. Her smile just is infectious. So they hooked me up, and I started getting into that program. So now I'm in this program. It's a Mastermind Program where it's like they're teaching you how to train your mind to think and act the right way and build your business up, just like what you're doing with yours, right?
Yeah.
But on an elevated level where his Rolodex is just stupid.
Oh, of course.
Like, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I put my video in, and I didn't ask for any of this, right? I didn't ask for nothing. You could ask him. He saw my video. He recorded it.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for nothing in my video. I just talked.
Yes.
And next thing you know, he's like, "Yeah, I want you to talk to somebody." I was like, "All right, who?" He's like, Spike Van Bryson. I was like, "Who's that?" He goes, "Oh, he's a TV producer."
Oh shit.
He does Gordon Ramsay's Helen 24 Hours and Back and all this stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. You know, what's it about?" He goes, "Oh man, he wants to do I believe you guys need to talk." And ever since that day, we've been talking, and it's just been going back and forth. And last week, we finally hit that mile mark where we're like, okay, we have the story, we have the show, we have everything we need to build a pilot. And he's got a 100% success rate. I'm not worried about him. I know that's going to happen. So
no way.
This Wednesday at 11, we'll figure out what we're going to do.
No way.
I have a book being written, the Billionaire Mindset book.
Nice.
I What else we have going? When we have a whole bunch of, man, there's so much stuff going on right now. Like for some reason, it's all just stuff.
No, listen, man. Hey, look, that was a pretty impressive little resume right there. I mean, and obviously, I love watching this shit. See, I'm one of those people where, when you're trying to accomplish something and you see other people accomplishing the same thing that you're trying to accomplish, some people, they get jealous and they're like, oh, yeah, but he got this or that, or, they make excuses for why they haven't reached that level of success. See, me, I just love seeing people win. Bro, I can't help but get happy for you when you share with me that you got this pilot being discussed and you got these contacts and the Les Brown thing, bro. Like, that's immediate, happiness for me. There's not an ounce of jealousy. The thing is like, when you operate that way, oh, damn it, I messed something up. When you operate that way, you have nothing to worry about. You don't have any bitter bone in your body. You can move forward with the mindset of contribution and just rock out. So I love seeing you guys killing it, man. And I've been watching, first of all, I've been watching your tattoo shop for years anyway. So I think that's dope. My buddy Glenn owns a tattoo shop with, or owned a tattoo shop with the guy from Miami Ink, Chris Nunez.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So they own one in Fort Lauderdale. They might still own it together. I don't know, but he's a good friend of mine. And, just like us. I mean, fucking hustler, grinding, just serial entrepreneur, and that's what I love. But you're also doing some stuff with real estate, right? You've done some real estate flipping and investing.
I own properties. Last one we flipped. Well, that's what more I got into that because my wife loves doing that. Right? That's her thing. Every show she watches is a remodel show. Right. Me, the construction side of things is a little too stressful for my life.
You
know what I mean?
I know what you mean, man.
I don't like conflict and all that. I don't even have it in my life anymore. So, but I do it because she loves to do it. And that real estate is a good market to be in because it's always it's like your return, your ROI is great.
Yeah,
absolutely. As long as you know what you're doing.
I love real estate. Now, I want to go back though to a couple of things that you said. So it was funny to me how you were talking about like jumping from these jobs to going into business and tattoo shops and this and that. Like, I'm not so much as interested in like why you set out for tattoos, but how when you decided that you were going to jump into business, did you get past like all of the fear of taking that leap, or did you have issues with other people saying to you, no, don't do that, it's too risky? Like, how did you get past that? Because I think, that's valuable to the viewers that are watching who are thinking about making that next leap, thinking about leaving their 9-to-5. How did you get past it, and what would you advise them to do?
It's a mindset thing, and that's the thing I actually teach I have a Billionaire Mindset coaching that I do, and that's actually one of the things we speak on because that's the biggest thing. It's self-doubt because at the end of the day, you're just listening to somebody else's opinion about you. That means nothing. It 100%. Has no meaning to you, but you let it resonate in your head. What I would tell them is this: if you believe in yourself as much as you should, if you're going to open up something or do something like that, like when you started yours, you had to believe no matter what, because there's always somebody bigger than you, right? There's always, like when I opened my shop, there was like 4 shops around at the time. And I was not a good artist. Let's just be real. I wasn't a great tattoo artist. I wasn't good at what I did. I just kind of knew I wanted to do it. So I had everybody, oh, he's a fly-by-night. Oh, he's a scratcher. He's a this, he's a that, right? But I never let it get in my head. I was like, nah, I'm going to do this, right?
Right.
The part that I feel like is the jump that you need to take is the confidence in yourself.
100%.
That you can do it, because at the end of the day, there's people that will be inspired by your story. Tell your story as you're doing it. Don't hide the stuff. Don't hide the depression. Don't hide the doubt. Don't hide the being broke, because there will be people that see something in you that will help you.
Yep.
Like I've had that happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's just experience, and because you've had that happen.
Even if it's just an introduction too. Yes. It might not be, hey, they might not be writing you a check, but they could be introducing you to somebody who was going to write a check.
Exactly.
So,
it doesn't need to be about money. It needs to be about the connections more than anything.
Absolutely.
It's like, let me shake the hand of everybody in there and see who is going to help me and I can help them at the same time.
Right.
Because our paths have to interline for the future, what we're going to do, what it is that I'm trying to do, what 100%. You're trying to do. Because if your goal is to do something else, it's not what I want to do.
Sure. I'm going to wish you well along the way, but maybe we're not going to do business, and that's okay too.
You might know the person.
That's okay too, because exactly. You're going to, if we, part ways in the right fashion, your network can still be recommended to me, and my network can still be recommended to you. But if we part ways with some kind of disagreement because we tried to force some kind of business venture or business relationship and it didn't work, then you guys are going to be bitter both ways. Now, what's interesting is on Wednesday, I'm actually doing a discussion for a group out of New York about the power of relationships. And I always share this story because in 2016, I started a softball team, right? Name of our team was Sons of Pitches. That's pretty fucking good, right? Sons of Pitches.
I like it.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So we started this team, and it was mainly for my company to build, camaraderie and just, sportsmanship and just, team building and stuff. So, but I didn't have enough people to fill the team. So I reached out to other people. This guy comes on my baseball or the softball field, the first practice, right? And he's just loud and obnoxious. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm going to have to deal with this guy for this entire season.
Yeah.
By the end of practice, me and him were cool. We were hanging out, talking. Man, we didn't stop talking that night till like 2 o'clock in the morning, hanging out, having a few drinks or whatever. To this day, he's like one of my best friends. But he also sold me my first 3 rental properties. Okay, check this out. He introduced me to a guy that I bought a business from a year and a half later. And then my wife became a realtor for him at his brokerage. One relationship.
Yeah.
All that from one person that I might not have even gave the time of day to on that softball field.
Yeah.
So when we know that, when we know how powerful the relationships are, we should be doing everything in our power to continue to expand our network. But go forth with the mindset of contribution. If you're going out with your hand out, guess what? That hand's going to stay empty.
Yeah.
But if you got your hand back here, what's going to happen is somebody's going to reach out and put something in your hand, and you're going to have to be forced to catch it.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. When you have that mindset, it's a different game.
Oh yeah, 100%. The connections is exactly what it's about, because that's what this is about. We're on this thing talking right now, and one day somebody's going to hear a conversation that we're having, and they're going to connect to us, and they're going to reach out to us. We're not going to have to reach out to them.
100%.
That's what this is for. This is why I'm building a documentary, to show people that it's true.
Yeah.
Because if you would have said 20 years ago where I'm at today, hell no.
Same.
I wouldn't even have thought this.
Yep.
I would have never thought where I'm at. I would have never thought I have a camera guy. Like that's not what he does. That's just what he's doing right now. He's got a million jobs.
He's like, I'm not putting a label on him.
No, because it can't. Not with him.
Yeah.
He does a lot for me. But when you go from where you came from, your story relates, man. So
I wanted to go back to that too, because you said you did some time, right? So you said 3 years. All right, cool. 3 years. And at that time, right, it's like, man, this is something that sucks. I'm going away. I'm going to be away from my friends, my family. But you also shared with us that going through that time, getting the advice from the people that were in there, which is, kind of unlikely, right, for most people to imagine. 100%. But it's in a way it saved your life, right? Like, so what's really interesting about that, as you told me that, which you didn't tell me that part of the story in the discussion at Stevenson, I don't think. But anyway, when I was 14, right? Actually, 20 years ago, you just said, when you go back 20 years ago, right? Yeah. When I was 14, I was arrested and I did 2 years in juvenile facilities, right? And at the time, I'm like, this fucking sucks. I can't see my friends, can't see my family. I'm like locked away. This is bizarre. And, I hated it. But when I look back on my life now, the 2 years, and I didn't get any, huge motivational speeches or anything like that while I was in there that changed my life, but that 2 years that I spent in jail at that time saved my life, because most of the people that I was hanging around with prior and during the time before, they all developed their addictions in the 2 years that I was in jail. They all, and when I mean all, Larry, I'm talking about everybody I was hanging out with was either on pills or dope.
So was mine.
So it's like when I came home, I was like, man, I missed 2 fucking years. I'm so angry. Like, I missed all this. They're telling me the stories. My FOMO's hitting me hard. I'm like, damn, I wish I'd have been here. I wish I'd have been here. No, I don't. To this day, I promise you, I do not wish I was there, because it would have been a whole different ball game for me. Now, I got in a ton of trouble after that too, but it saved me because I never developed an addiction.
And it's the truth, because Kathy, she just wrote on my Facebook the other day on a post, and she said, we did a lot of dumb stuff when we were younger, right? And she knows because everybody we were around ended up same thing, getting addicted, right? Because at that time, 20 years ago, that's when pills started to come out.
That's what I'm saying.
It was like heroin started coming out, pills started coming. People didn't know what that was.
OxyContin hit the fucking scene hard as shit.
Yeah, the Oxy 80s and 40s, they were going crazy.
Shit, we had 160s before they stopped them.
Goodness gracious. But that was a time where I was locked up for that part of it when it first came out, so I didn't catch that addiction side. But the people I was around, it same thing. They all were addicted. And I watched them all go through it. And I didn't watch them. When I got out, I could see it now. Even to this day, I could see some of them still going through it.
And it's sad, man. You know, you're happy that you didn't get caught into it, but you're not happy that somebody else did. Like, that's the part that people got to, all right, so recently when I just went to get my car washed the other day, right? And one of my boys from when I was 14, he was a couple years older than me, he worked for the car wash at that time, okay? And when I pull up to get my car washed, 20 years later, there he is working at the car wash. And I'm like, damn, man. Like, you know, you want better like, that doesn't make me happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, you still wish the best. You still want the best for the people.
I want them all to be good.
Absolutely. Even the people that are wishing the worst on me, I want them to fucking win. I want them to win, bro. I just do.
Their mindsets have to change. And
well, it goes back to the insecurities you were talking about. That's why people wish bad on other people.
And they think that what I hear a lot of is, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through the withdrawal or whatever. But like realistically, you live from it though.
Yeah. Okay. Withdrawals and everything.
You sit in a tub, you shit yourself, you go through a lot of hot flashes and get sick, but you're not dead.
Yep.
If I had to do something to know that I can better myself,
100%,
I'm gonna go through it.
Yeah, but you took those leaps. So let's go back to that because you started to talk about that. You were talking about the confidence, which I always talk about self-love, right? And I feel like, man, so many people don't do something because they don't feel like, first of all, they don't love themselves enough to feel like they deserve it, and therefore that they owe it to themselves to do it, right? So like, if you don't feel like you deserve a better life and a tattoo shop and, you know, speaking with Les Brown, like if you don't feel you deserve that shit, then you're never going to pursue it.
Yep.
Right? So that's the whole thing. You got to fall in love with everything about you, the flaws and all, like everything. Like, we're not going to be perfect.
I think when I was in jail, like my confidence level in myself was there, but it wasn't all the way. And when I got out, I started to work on that. And that is a thing because through my first failures in business, I had doubted myself. Even in this last venture I did last year that I lost a lot of money on. It was a venture I went through, but I doubted myself. And I realized, why am I in something I doubt myself in? Because I don't have time to focus all of my energy on that to get it where it needs to be. So I let it go.
Yeah.
Where if you don't just... What I would say is for people, like, we'll go back to this one part where you said about getting into something. When you get into it, make sure you stick to that. Because now, after 20 years of doing what I've been doing and what, like you've got to a point where you can be successfully now, where you can step back from this, like what I'm doing on the tattoo side, and it can run itself. And now I can venture into this other side because I know what I'm doing now is going to resonate or help build that business just as much as it's going to help my next business.
100%.
Because my next business is myself.
Yep.
My self-worth and myself and everything you just said, because that's what it needs to be. You have to, my mind is just success. Like that right there, action is the key to success. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to humble yourself and come back to being down to nothing. Like, I guess because I don't get a salary, my wife gets my salary check, right? So I don't even get a paycheck. I live off tips.
So you don't look at it. So you
I don't look at money.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not the money that excites me. It's the chase and it's the process of what we're doing right now. Because if I go back, the part that hurts my feelings is my first 10 years of my shop being open. I didn't enjoy any of that. No. None.
Yeah, well, you were being told that it was because of other people and their efforts, not
myself.
Yours. Yeah,
I doubted myself. Now you come in my shop, it's like energy's there, everybody's happy and go lucky, and we have moments and we'll have times where people will draw down and kind of like. But it's like
you got to be building each other up, man. And I watch your videos. I know you're building the right kind of culture with your business. That's for damn sure. Because I've never even met Gracie before, but I can tell you right now, like I'm excited to see what that girl does. I've seen her artwork, but then there's the other side of it. So let's go, and this actually ties back into what we were talking about, right? Because it's really interesting, right? I have a roofing business, which you know. I've never done a roof in my life, like. You have a tattoo business, even though you've done tattoos, you knew right away, you're like, I don't want to be an artist. I want to be the businessman behind this, right? which is interesting because I think that most of the time when people start a small business, it's the opposite way, right? They think, okay, I got to be the one tattooing. I got to be the one on the roof, because if I'm not doing the roof, then somebody else is going to do it and it's not going to be as good. So they think that there's going to be a quality drop, which most of the time there is. You have to understand that, know that, and get the person that's going to replace you as close as possible to where you are. And that'll have to be good enough so that you can scale your business. When I started my business, I started from straight failure, you too, right? And I felt like, kind of looking back, I was lucky to have been unlucky, right? Because most people are so fearful of making this leap because of what they might lose. I'm like, shit, I didn't have anything to lose. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I seen failure. I was good at that shit. Yeah. So if I fail at trying, what am I really losing? I'm just going back to where I was before, right? So when you're at rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up, right? Yes, 100%. So like, I always talk about how I was kind of lucky to have been unlucky, right? Yeah. And that there was no fear of failure. But when you are taking these chances and you're moving forward and you're jumping from, maybe a business that's actually paying pretty well. I've known plenty of people that have jumped from a corporate salary of $100K a year or more and started their own business, and now they're happy and they got some of their time back. This is about self-awareness, right? Like, if you're happy, I'm not pitching everybody should be an entrepreneur.
No, I'm not pitching. Everybody.
Yeah, exactly. That's
definitely not for everybody.
So like, you got people that, because this is being glorified today, they're like, oh, I got to go start a business. Like, bro, what do you mean you have to? If you feel you have to, you're already doing this wrong, because this has got to be something that you want. Yes. It's got to be something that you're after, you're passionate about. That's like a spouse going to somebody and saying, hey, I need you to lose weight, or I need you to do this. I need you to do. Well, I'm not going to be passionate about it if you need me to do it, but if I want to do it, now I can get behind that shit. Now I can work towards it. Now I can I can be excited about the pursuit of this. Yes. But when it's assigned to you, you can't do that.
It's hard because that passion is what keeps you going. Like, who says it? E.T. hip hop.
Eric Thomas?
Yeah, Eric Thomas says it. He says your want has to be stronger than your what is it? What does he say? He says a saying.
I always say your why's got to be stronger than your what.
Oh, yeah.
Your
want.
But it's something.
Your want. It's your why has to be stronger than your want.
Yep.
Right? And it's the truth, because at the same time, like,
what's fueling you?
Yeah, what's fueling you? Because if you're not passionate about it, and it's just because you think you needed that, because we always think we need something until we don't. Yeah. So it has to be a passion. Yeah. 100% has to be a passion.
Well, like I said, I know that about you, because like when we finished talking to those kids at the detention center, bro, did that feel fucking amazing or what?
It was
like
great.
That's the shit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and that's it for me. Like, if we know what we know about our climb, right? Mm-hmm. But like you said, you go back 20 years ago, you never in your wildest dreams would have imagined that you're doing this today. So think about that. Think about the person that's 20 years our junior, right? And is been through what we've been through, or going down that path, right? What do you think what do you think the best case scenario for them, what do you think that they think the best case scenario for them is, right? Yeah. Not where we are. Yeah. So we got to open our eyes to that shit. So everybody that's watching, man, if you feel like your circumstances are creating and or determining where you can go, forget about it. Like, there's nothing stopping you but you. Like, you guys are the ones that are going to determine where you go, not the people that came before you and your family or your surroundings. Like, it doesn't matter that the best influence you have is somebody who's worked a 9-to-5 that they hate their whole lives. That is not your ceiling. You've got tons of potential and tons of opportunity ahead of you.
I would tell them, the first thing I would tell them on that is just find your passion. And whenever you're going through some doubt and sometimes, man, put it into that. Put your passion into it, and you'll lose it. Like, for me, being a tattoo artist, what we would do is we would design and build concepts, right? So if I have an iPad Pro with all these artwork that I have to do, right? And when I'm going through something in the depression side of me, how I use my passion for my depression is I take a story that I have that's kind of relating to that, and I create the art for that tattoo with a story.
Yeah.
So it's like a passion. You have to be able to take a passion and put it into something.
Yep.
So that way you can keep going forward, because you're always going to have self-doubt. The hardest person in the world is you. Mm-hmm. You're against yourself. You fight yourself because you're not really competing against anybody else. You're competing to be better than you were yesterday. So at the same time, like, these kids don't realize it yet, but they can. They can realize it right now. They can realize it from this conversation that I just took a passion I loved and knew I was going to do it, and I just wasn't going to let no be an answer.
Right.
Exactly. And I just kept moving forward, and I feel like they can do the same thing. They can just keep moving forward and don't just try not to get into the negative side of the field. Stay on the positive side of the field. Get a job, even though the check might not be what you want, because it's never going to be what you want, right? It's never. I don't feel like in a business, even in my life right now, I don't think I would ever be satisfied until I don't know when, really, right?
So it's definitely not a financial. I know I'm not after a financial.
It can't be.
I'm not after a financial goal. I'm after like how many people can I impact? How many people can I help in all ways, right? I'm not saying that I don't want to, like do 80 more roofs next year with my company than I did this year. Because I want to help those people too. But helping people this way, helping people in every way. I think that's the difference maker, is the mindset of that contribution. But you're right, man. That self-love and the confidence you were talking about earlier, man, like when you have an unbelievable and unconditional love for yourself, it can power you through so many things that like you can become a force when you have no self-doubt, you feel like you deserve it, you feel like you're owed whatever you're after. And when that happens, man, you'll just bust your ass like you've never busted your ass before. Proven. And the jobs, like you said, you were like, yeah, maybe the check's not as much as you want it to be. Man, that part for me, because I used to work at Walmart, right? But when I worked at Walmart, I promise you, if you'd have come in and interacted with me, you'd have been like, is this his store or some shit? Yeah. Like, I had this self-employed mentality even when I was a temporary part-time associate at Walmart. Like, I just did. And I knew the role it played in my life. I knew I wasn't going to be at Walmart forever, but I loved the role it was playing for me. You know what I mean? I loved the role it was playing for me at that time. It might be a stepping stone, but listen, when you're trying to cross a bridge or a river or something like that, sometimes you need that stepping stone. So love that stepping stone too. If you know it's part of your path and part of the journey that you're on, fall in love with that part too.
Yeah, because you're going to have the struggle though. Like, look at all the stories. Like, I'm really heavy into this Steve Harvey story right now because he's just relating a lot.
He's the man, dude. I didn't even know that. But
his story about being homeless in a car and all that, and just quitting his job. I'm not saying quit your job, because that's just, he just did it. He did it in his way, right? Everybody has a way, but nobody in this world. There's not too many people in this world that that's successful that didn't go through something, right? Absolutely. It's their story that made them what they are, because you have to be built up for this. This isn't something you could just go do, because, for one, some people are built with the confidence and can just come right out of the confidence because their parents instilled it to them from the day one, right?
Exactly.
When you weren't, you got to be able to bring that out of yourself. And I feel like your story is what does that for you. Yeah. Because my self-worth in myself now, my confidence in myself, is because I know you can put me back anywhere in this world. Put me anywhere in this world, I'll be right back.
Triple my worth.
I'll be right back. Yep. I'll be right back where I need to be.
Yeah, Jay said, put me anywhere on God's green earth. I'll triple my worth. Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I could triple, I could quadruple, I could 10 times, I could 100 times my worth, because I won't be in a state this small. Put me in a city.
Forget about it. Yeah, listen, you're selling Honda Civics here, you'll sell, whatever.
Lamborghinis, whatever.
Yeah. Listen, so I want to go back, because, it is really interesting that you have the level of confidence that you have, especially being as though, like, there were several things when you were telling your story that were, like, kind of foundationally could hurt somebody's self-confidence, right? With the relationships that you had where people were saying, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here. Like, I know for a fact, there's a lot of people I've spoke to, when they hear things like that, they feel like, again, they'll have to go into business with like a partner at the very most, because then they know, like, it's not on them. They can't do it alone. They have to have somebody else there to help them. Yeah. So elaborate on that. Like, how did you overcome that? And what was the moment that was, like, liberating for you, that you knew that, like, you could put it on Larry Normile's back?
So actually that happened. I explained a little bit, but I'll get into detail now. Because see, I didn't tell you about my first marriage. I got divorced because she cheated on me with my best friend. My second marriage, we were in the middle of a divorce, so she didn't cheat on me or anything. I was leaving her. We were in the middle of divorce. She started dating my best friend, my brother. Dude, I would have died for, worked for me. Was in my wedding. Loaned him all kinds of money to get all where he was. Got him out of all kinds of shit, right? To stab me in my back and end up dating her and then marrying her later on. Now they're together, right? I don't hold that to him. Like, the thing is, like, he lost the right to call me a friend, but he's not an enemy, because I'm not built that way, right? No. So at the same time, like, you're just not my friend. Like, you can't call me your friend. Right. We're associate. I have a daughter. You co-parent with my daughter, so we have to keep that mutual agreement. But at the same time,
you have some discipline and some maturity that I don't think most people have. But go ahead,
at the same time, I just won't be your friend.
Right.
I'll talk to you in respect, because out of respect, I'm going to respect you, because my daughter, I don't need her to see that.
Yeah.
So
I got
went through
respect
that.
for that, man. You're a grown ass
So
man.
when all that was going down, not only did that happen at that time, 2 of my main artists left. I had 1 artist and me, and that was it. And my rent just went up because it was my next year for rent going up, right? Because I was at the time, I got my rent for like next to nothing,
Right.
and it eventually hit the price that they wanted.
Yeah,
and it was that year. So it was
Yeah.
like, fuck, dude, this is the wrong year to be doing all this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the highest point of my for it, and I'm like, what am I going to do? With 1 other artist, we made it happen.
Yeah, you
and
did
it was
say
in a
that
winter
part.
time when it was
Yeah.
the slowest.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have really a slow time now, but we do for a couple artists. But for most of the artists, we were pretty booked throughout the year. But back then, October, November, December is your slow months. Man, it was just a bad time. But we ended up getting through it. So when I saw that I could do this, and it
Right.
was just me and him, I was like, yo, I can do this. I don't know why I've been stressing this whole time. It was
know, bro.
because people were in my head telling me if it wasn't for. If it wasn't for, it wasn't for.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not for, because your path has got you where you're at because
Right.
of you.
Yep.
My path got me where I'm at because of me. I'm not saying that to you. I'm not disintegrating. I'm not taking in disrespecting you and telling you you're not where you're at because of
Right.
me.
Right.
You're not here because of me. You're here because you.
Absolutely.
Even if
you helped, even if you played a
Yeah.
major role, even if you mentored and fucking like got like,
Yeah.
still you got to put in the effort.
you got here with me because I felt something in you.
Right.
So you made it that far. Just like
Absolutely.
I made it that far to get with Les because he saw something in me.
Yep.
Right? It's a ladder. It's
Yeah.
a ladder. And that's why you can't give up. That's why you got to keep going. You got to keep telling your story. And you just got to keep pushing because
Right.
eventually you could be that dude that could be sitting at the 7-Eleven on the side of the road. And if I catch a conversation with you and I can relate, there might be something I can do to help you. And it's not going to be money because I don't do that anymore.
No.
Every time I do that with somebody, it just bites me
Keeps
in my
burning
butt.
you. Yeah.
So-
Plus, I mean, the effort and time, like that's the stuff that really goes a long way,
Yeah.
man. I can say that if I can go back and look at all the times that people have like, maybe they chose us because they wanted to contribute to the story or whatever it was through my company, but it was the people that stood around for a little while, told me something that really hit home, and I've been able to implement, successfully. So, yeah, that's crazy, dude. So we the podcast is called the Xtra Mile Podcast, and I love the fact that we're like going the extra mile with Larry Normile. Like I love that right now, bro. But talk about a time like this. So I ask this pretty much for every guest. Now you've gone over some things, so try to find something else maybe, or even if you want to elaborate on something else. We have the Xtra Mile Podcast. The reason that I named it the Xtra Mile Podcast is because kind of like what we're talking about here, I believe that the things that have really contributed to my growth as a person, as an individual, my growth as a business owner, my growth as a father, my growth as a friend, husband, all those things, was the times where I truly went the extra mile, did something that was out of the ordinary or just above and beyond, and I really saw the return on that. And therefore, like, I decided, like, I'm going to keep going with that kind of mindset on all things that I pursue. So is there a time that stands out to you where, like, just going the extra mile, just going above and beyond what the normal approach would have been, that really paid dividends for you in your life?
Oh, 100%. I
mean, you've named a few already, but
No,
yeah,
I have
go
a
ahead.
lot because
Go ahead.
there was a lady. So remember when that hurricane, I think it was Katrina, wasn't that what it was called? It came through here?
Sandy.
Yeah. So it tore up down the beach and all, right? This lady, her name was Angel. Love her to death. She's like a mom to me, right? She, I didn't know her from a can of paint. All that stuff hit. And I was like, I posted something on Facebook and said, I want to help somebody that has been impacted by this. This church reaches out to me and says, I have this lady that's living in our parking lot right now. She doesn't have anything. Her husband was beating her. She left her husband, ended up moving with the husband's mom down here at the beach. The husband's mom's house, ex-husband's mom's house, ended up getting tore up. Now she don't have nowhere to live because of the hurricane. So through all that, I got to telling her story. She started talking to me about it and everything. Next thing you know, I move her in my house. I bought her a trailer, remodeled a trailer, ran a whole, my wife now at the time, ran a whole like thing for it, brought up fundraising, got all this money raised up, got her situated and put her into a position of now she's actually remarried, or I think engaged, moved away. Now she's back to where she needs to be in a happy life, happy everything. And that was in the middle of all of that divorce situation. It was all happening at the same time. And I didn't have the money. Like at that time, I bought that trailer. I barely had the money to buy that trailer because I was still paying for lawyer fees and everything else, right? Only reason I let her live in my house is because I couldn't afford to put her anywhere else while we were doing this place. So I was going through a lot with her. And when all that happened, right after all that happened is when like artists started to show up, money started to come back, my savings got put back up.
Every time.
My wife ended up getting deployed and going to Afghanistan for a year. And like everything just kind of like worked and just made itself out. I ended up moving out of my house, moving into my mom's house to save enough money up to buy our new house because like
that's nuts, man. Like that's the shit that they talk about all the time. I know Gary Vee talks about that shit all the time. It's like, why you go here, stay with mom and fucking save up your money and rebound. And
you can see it. I did it about 5-6 years ago.
Bro, that's sacrifice, bro. That's fucking huge sacrifice.
I wasn't losing my business,
right?
Dude. I wasn't losing that. Like that wasn't even an option, right? So I was like, fuck it.
Fuck the house.
I'll be right back in with my mom. It sucked.
I fucking love it, bro.
I was like, I'm looking in this room like, fuck, I'm a grown-ass man sitting in this 10x10. Like, fuck my life. But I made it work. And then I just bounced off. So at the end of the day, I'm all right with it. Like, I feel like I'm all right with it. And that's why I bounced off is because even though I did that, right? And then I ended up getting rid of that house and then moving in with my mom. And then that stuff happened with Angel. Right after all that happened, it was just like this. Everything started going better. We got this house, right? And then we're like, oh, this house is cool, but we want to just rent it. We don't want to live in it. We loved it. We ended up remodeling it and falling in love with it, and we didn't even want to sell it. So then next thing you know, my wife's career didn't just like go from here. It went from here to fuck up there, dude. Like
skyrocket.
She tripled her income.
That's because they say good things come to those who wait. That's bullshit. Good things come to those who work their fucking ass off, but do the right thing. Because see, you talk about the times where you didn't have the money and this and that, but you always had the time and enough money to do the right fucking thing by people. And that's why, dude. I don't care what you believe in, right? I don't care what you believe in spiritually. But if you think for 1 second that there's not something balancing the good you put into the world and the good that's coming back to you from the world, then you are absolutely nuts. If you put good out there, good comes back.
Yes.
And it usually comes, but again, not with your hand out, it doesn't. You don't expect it, right? You do the good because it was the right fucking thing to do, and then amazing things, like you're talking about this, bang, 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 everything just seemed to work itself out. That's not no fucking miracle. It's not no mystery. It's because he was doing the right fucking thing when you were supposed to do the right fucking thing. That's it.
John Tellerico, one of my mentors, says all the time, he says, universe loves speed. That is not a lie. And a universe is attracted by other people. Like your energy attracts those people. Like at the time, why we're here now is because our energies are attracted to each other, right? At that, before we didn't do this podcast is because we weren't energized at the same time. That's how I feel. I feel like the universe interlines everybody
Everything
at the same time.
For a reason. Yeah, 100%.
God, whoever you want to believe in.
Yeah. Think about it. Like we talked about, man. We both spent 3 years in jail, 2 years in jail. That we literally can go back and say that saved our lives.
Yeah.
Well, we think that was just a magical moment. Like it was just some mystery. Like, come on, guys. It's bigger than coincidence. It's bigger than coincidence. So, and we're not going to go down that spiritual talk, but the reality is like, man, everything happens for a reason. Yes. Gary Vee talks about all the time. He's like, look, I could have invested in Uber. I could have invested in, Facebook. I could have invested in all these other platforms a few years back. And if I just spent every dollar that I had investing in that, which I considered doing, I'd be worth 5, 6, 7 times as much as I am right now. But like most people will be angry about that. Most people will look back and say, damn, I didn't make this money. But he's like, okay, I could have been, because of that success, I could have been in China speaking to a group and get hit by a fucking bus crossing the road and die. Yeah. So like things are guiding us where we're going, man. As long as you put the good out there, good will come back.
Your time is your time. When it's time to go, you're going to go regardless. Yep. If you live your life worried about it, it's just going to take that time from you. Our time is more valuable than anything in this world. If that's one thing I could buy, that's what I would buy.
Absolutely.
Because I don't have enough. Like all day today, I'll be in meetings all day, from now to all day tonight, and then as soon as I get off work tomorrow, I got another one, and then Wednesday I'm booked all day in podcasts and meetings, right? Because, but it's not work to me.
Right.
This is what I'd rather do anyway.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's the difference maker. People are like, well, why are you working so hard? No. I love this shit. Yeah. Like this, like you're out golfing and out on your boat, which again, listen, this is self-awareness. This isn't talking shit on anybody else.
No.
But then also don't complain about not having the shit that you're after if you want to spend all day on the boat or on the golf course.
You get to inspire somebody. Like when I'm on this podcast, I think like this. Somebody's going to watch this, right?
Yep.
I don't know who.
One person, maybe.
One person, 10 million people, whoever is going to get something from this, and it's going to change their life. And that's all I really want to do. I just want to help somebody.
So you're talking about time, which I totally agree, and I think I agree with you on. I think that's the big thing that people don't understand. They've been trading their time. They've been trading their time for money for so long that they think money's the more important thing, or they think it's an equal trade for your time. It is not. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time, right? Speaking of that, you get up pretty damn early, don't you, Larry?
Yeah, 4
o'clock in the morning. All right, so let's talk about like why you decided to get up at 4. What was the determining reason for that?
Getting up at 4 is like nobody's there to get in your head. Nobody's there to change your mind. Nobody's there to give you any doubt. Like I used to see. This is something I just changed. From 4 to 7 now, I don't even talk to anybody. I don't get on social media. I don't do anything. I used to, from 4 to 5, just get up and I would do.
Go about your business.
First thing I do is I thank God for getting me up, right? And then I do a little prayer and then I start my day. But what I realized was from 5 to 7, I was wasting time, right? Because I still would get on social media and I'd waste time. And I started validating, like, okay, why am I doing that, right? So now I'm in books from 4 to 7. I get up. And I have books and I have stuff I'm doing, courses I'm working on, mindset programs I'm working on.
But you mean like consumption or creating?
Consumption. I'm learning. Okay. I'm still at the point where my mindset has to focus, right? I have a hard time focusing, and that's what I'm working on right now. And that's, anybody knows me can tell you, like, I focus because I have so much going on. It's hard to focus.
Right.
So
so you're eliminating the distractions off the social media. Stop talking to people from 4 to 7, and then you're consuming.
I'm focusing.
Yeah.
And if once I can control them 4 to 7, then I'll go from 7 to I'll keep creating to where all days of focus.
That's good stuff, man.
Because that's the hardest part.
You're better disciplined than me on that. I gotta get to that level with my stuff.
It's hard. And usually he'll text me because that's how we ended up. That's how the universe works. Because know what he was doing when we met? Getting up at 4 a.m. too.
Yeah.
He talks about all the time. He's like, dude, man, we need our 4 a.m. energy back.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't right now, man. I can't focus. I can't get myself together, man. I'm trying to get this one part of like a story, like the whole of what I'm doing from the beginning to the end. I have to put it into a complete story so that way when I'm telling it, it just relevant.
It flows properly. Yeah, that's it, man. Because I get super excited about one part that might be relevant. Like I know, and that's okay, man. I tell you, like, I know that people always talk about like preparation and that's very important. Like 1 minute in preparation could save you 10 minutes in execution and all that. I believe in that. I do. But when it comes to the discussions, man, I have to let my fucking heart take over. I can't work off like if it's a specific, like if I'm telling my story, forget about it. I'm not gonna work off an outline. I'm not working off a PowerPoint. Now, if you need me to discuss sales or if you need me to teach somebody like time like that, something whatever, like I can handle all that. I can put together a PowerPoint. I can make sure there's visual aids and I can stick to it. But when it comes to the heartfelt shit, like my story and what I've gone through, I got to go off the cuff. I have to. And see,
mine's more of like, because I'm not educated, like I didn't do high school at all, right? So I don't even know I didn't even know how to build a PowerPoint. I still really don't work on PowerPoints at all, right? So my program in the morning is more, because it's with the Bob Proctor program, it's just thinking in the results. It's just it's a mastermind program for a business, right?
Right. What are you after?
Yeah. What am I after and how I'm going to obtain it and what thoughts you need to work on and your team and all that. So that's what I'm working on now, because I'm trying to build it to the point where I'm going to be a billionaire. I already know that, right? I just have to get that whole
billionaire.
Yeah, billionaire.
Holy shit.
I skipped the millionaire and go to the billionaire because the millionaire is easy to get to.
Damn.
Why not?
Hey, listen. I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's a audacious and ambitious goal, and that's what the way they should be.
That's why these cameras are here.
Yeah,
I'm building a documentary on becoming a billionaire, and I'm gonna show the world how I did it.
Yeah.
So every day I write down stuff all day. Like I have notepads. Ask him. I have notepads like filled. And ever since I've started this thing though, and I started this program, and I started working towards this, my level, my income, my everything has risen to a level that it's never been before, and I don't have the stress I used to have.
Right.
The stress I have now is just like, can I keep this person focused like they need to be?
Right.
Can I, so I'm trying to work everybody's.
Yeah, and kind of like the mindset of time and everything like that, dude. I just hired a COO to take over my operations here at Brightside, which is super exciting because I'm gonna get so much time back, and those kind of concerns about like watching this person make sure this person's doing their job and stuff like that kind of has gone away for the most part, and I can like embrace what I really love to do. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good. Yeah. Listen, again, man, it's been fun taking this stroll down the extra mile. We gotta wrap up because I know you got a lot going on today. I got a lot going on today, but I promise my viewers that we'll do a part 2 to this, and we'll keep track on Larry's progress towards $1 billion. I love it, dude. By the way, I fucking respect the shit out of that. Real quick before we cut the show, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you on social medias, YouTube, wherever. TikTok. Make sure you follow them on TikTok.
Yeah, so pretty much everything I have is my Instagram is Larry Normile. It's Larry_Normile, Normile. I have a Billionaire Mindset Coaching.com. I have a Artistic Additions Tattoo.com. But usually, if you just Google my name, you can find me on Google. It's not hard.
Bobby Jones doesn't work out that well.
Yeah,
There's too many of us.
Yeah, you Google my name, and it's just everywhere.
Cool.
I have pages of Larry Normile.
And I'll put this stuff up on the screen, too, and everything like that. So I think that's it, guys. Any last thoughts from our viewers?
I appreciate you having me on here, man, and I'm proud of what you're doing, man. I remember when you first started this, because I think I started around when you did, and I was like, dude, he's doing the same thing too. And I was like, man, watch. Because we used to talk about your podcast. We watch it. We're like, okay, yeah. It's
some
like take ideas.
I'm right, some things I'm not.
It's like take ideas from each other. You know
of course, man.
And that's what I hope that everybody does. I hope everybody does that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's a thing called, we talk about it all the time with my other Business Master networks, and we talk about the mindset of abundance over the mindset of scarcity, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I can work with I don't call them competitors, I call them co-opetition, right? Because I can go to most of my competitors and I can go into their office and ask them questions about what they're doing, and they'll show me the same thing. Like, man, if somebody, just because somebody else is doing a podcast doesn't mean they won't share that info with you. People act like we're in competition. We're not in competition. We're going to win together. So it's
you're in
awesome.
competition with yourself. That's it.
Yeah, guys, listen, thank you so much for tuning into episode 13 of the Xtra Mile Podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe. Make sure you follow Larry on his social media platforms, and we'll be sure to bring you guys some awesome content and bring value to everything that we post for you guys. And reach out to us. Stay connected.